शुरू करो जी।
Okay. Good morning to all. Today we will be discussing a subject which is on the beauty of the buildings. As you know, when you talk about the beautiful, either handsome person, beautiful woman, or a beautiful building with facade, all beautiful things create problem. Today we are talking about the beautiful facade, all related matters with that. So I'll request Mr. R.C. Sharma to please take over and start with the introduction of the speakers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chiller. Well, I welcome all of you again, all the speakers, and Dr. Paul will be joining shortly.
He's there.
We have got.
I am there, sir.
Welcome, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
So we welcome all of you and all learned speakers. We are going to have today's subject is fire safety issues in buildings, envelope and facades. So in the facades, we do have many problems, and incidentally we had a fire yesterday and in the South Korea, one of the tall building, and facade is again the issue probably. So you can just have a look before we start. Mr. Warwick is going to start his presentation. That will be basically the issues as dealt in NBC part 4, and then subsequently Dr. Paul will be speaking on the same issue, and then third will be Mr. Goyal. So he will be just we'll try to sum up the things and the questions we like to take, because we expect many questions in this. So please, I think you can start the short film which we have received today. Shiva sir, could you start the film, please?
Yes, sir.
Please. Thank you. I think it was just sort of I think about 15-20 seconds. You have seen the way facade of the building is burning, is as if it is an envelope itself which is on fire, and that is what the fire has spread through the facade of the building, whatever envelope material they are using. Now let's have a presentation from Mr. Warwick. He is Chief Fire Officer of MIDC and is Director Maharashtra Fire Services. So Mr. Warwick, you can please go ahead with your presentation. Mr. Warwick, unmute करिए अपने आप को. You are not unmuted.
Yeah, yes. Thank you, sir. Good morning to all. My screen is visible?
Yes. Not yet?
Not yet. Now?
Yes, it has come.
Yeah, it's there.
Visible
yes,
now.
Okay. So the recent incidents is really eye-opener. We had similar cases in recent past also. and this is a very crucial issue. So external facades of the building and specifically glazed buildings. So we have number of such type of buildings in our metros and mini metros as a hotel building, office buildings, and other occupancies, wherein glass is used or other materials, ACPs, composite materials are used. So these are the some incidences in past wherein such type of fires pose danger to the human life, also to the threat to the property, and it is very challenging for the firefighters to reach externally to such kind of a huge high-rise buildings and to carry out firefighting and rescue operation externally. So large number of high-rise buildings are basically using facades, and in case of fire, it is very difficult to deal with such type of fires. So rapid spreading of fire externally, just what we saw from the external side due to the high wind velocity and combustible materials externally available for the burning. So in case of fire, the characteristics of such kind of fires are very difficult because these are all high-rise building. So evacuation time is more, then the fire load is also more, and the gushing wind at that level uh, uh, contributes to the rapid spread of fire externally on these facades. So these are again some incidences occurred in metros wherein firefighting from the external side is the only option to carry out rescue operations and firefighting. So high-rise building facades, these are either it is through the internal source it can initiate, or from the external side. External side from the DG sets or the electrical installation transformers or HVAC rooms on the floor. So such type of or garbage containers in the building, from that it can start and it can spread. So the glass facades are in a different compartments. There are combustible materials stored, so it may internally can grow, and externally also it can spread. So high-rise buildings, as compared to different low-rise buildings, the composite panels or glass materials, whatever used externally, that create a stack effect or leapfrog effect from the building. And these fires are very difficult because, as we just saw, the burning debris coming out from these tall buildings may lead to the pocket fires or may set fire to the adjoining buildings also. So it is a really threat for the surrounding areas also. So normally these in large scales, such type of buildings are uh, coming up because of external facade from the aesthetical view or from the glazing point of view, that beautification of the building. But in case of real danger, because of non-availability of ventilating the fire, it becomes very crucial issue for the firefighters or to carry out the evacuation of the building and also to douse the fire. These are the recent past incidences occurred across the globe, wherein the Dubai, Shanghai, and Grenfell Tower, London, which was the eye opener for world, and everybody thought started talking about this challenge. So this is the major issue. If anything goes wrong in a building, the fire may spread from the external side or the gaps available within the buildings through the ducts or the gaps between the slab and the cladding. So these are the major culprits from where the fire can spread on the external facades. So building envelopes, as I already discussed, this is a very aesthetically important issue from the aesthetic point of view of the building, and it NBC or any other international code do not means have a barrier for use of various types of material for the aesthetic view, but it poses certain problems in case of fire emergencies. So another thing is this external curtain wall is designed to take the environmental loads like wind, rain, thermal issues, uh, and the seismic loads also. If it is a loaded hay, then uh, in case of aesthetics also, it is contributing very a lot. So major issues is fire spread via surface of the building. This is the one type of a cladding. ACP, what incidences we saw, it is of the ACP aluminum composite panels which set on fire, and due to gushing winds, it spreads vertically upwards and entire building engulfed into fire. The second is from the one compartment to the another compartment due to the stability, integrity and penetration quality of that compartment material, and whether it is a fire resistance of that much rating. As per NBC, it should be minimum 2 hours fire rated. So if it is a glazing, then it should be minimum 1 hour or 2 hours fire rated, depending upon the type of construction. The fire separation with the facade system, again, from the exposure hazards point of view, anything goes wrong in the adjoining side, then due to radiant heat, the fire can set in the adjoining building. And through the chimney effect, passing through the openings, cavities available between the facade and the building slabs. So these are the major issues what we face. In this diagram, we can see the gaps between the slab and the facade. From that, fire can travel vertically upwards. And second is right hand side, it is a leapfrog effect from where fire can externally spread to the upper floors of the building. So proper sprinkler building is there, then in that case, proper compartmentation and sprinkler can contain this fire. But if such facility is not available in the building, the fire may spread externally or internally through these vertical ducts, or where the ceiling, non-combustible ceilings are used. In that case, it can travel upward. So this is again a diagram showing how the your cladding with fire rated sealant are used, fire stopping are used between the floor slab and the means facade. So such situation, the fire will not spread from vertically upwards. But if it is a combustible insulation material, then fire may travel from this combustible material on the upper floors. So holistically, we have to see the arrangement of the passive fire protection in the building. That is, major is the compartmentation, then openings in the floor or compartmentation passing from vertically and horizontally. Fire stop insulation should be used. Then the air conditioning is there, then the proper dampers should be used in compartmentation. Then the surface spread, flame spread, the combustible material, fire load, and the glazing. Glazing, basically it is covered under part 6 and section 8 of National Building Code, part volume 1. Then in that particular glazing, as far as the part 4 is concerned, some guidelines are issued wide clause 3.4.10, wherein the cross reference is given of part 6 structural design, section 8, glazing and glass of the code. Then the requirement for the assembly glazing means glass is a one part, or any composite panel is a one part of the glazing, but entire assembly should be as per the type 1 construction or a type of the construction, whatever applicable to that building. For high-rise building, we consider only type 1 and type 2 type of a construction. Then 3.4.10.2, wherein the fully sprinkler building should have, if 9 meters separation is there, then the fire means sprinkler head shall be within the 600 mm of the glass facade. It is for to cool the glass. If the glass is not fire rated, then the sprinkler will come in action and it can douse the fire. This is the table 1 given in part 4 of National Building Code, wherein the external walls are specified for the type 1, type 2, type 3 and type 4 construction. If we are considering only high-rise building, therein with separation with 3.7 meters, bearing, load bearing and non-load bearing. If you see, the rating is minimum 2 hours for the non-load bearing, and for the type 2 it is 90 minutes. Again, it is 90 and 60 minutes for the 3.7 separation, and if the separation is more than 9 meters, in that case it is 60 minutes for type 1 and type 2 construction. So considering this, the minimum fire glass rating should be minimum of 1 hour. Then second is the how the sprinkler will work. Here the standard sprinkler pattern is shown over in this diagram, and the window sprinkler, which are specifically required for glazing protection. These are this will work like this, and wherein it will give the cooling to the cladding or the glazing material made available, so that it will have the more fire resistance to the glass. These are the standard sprinklers used in the building. Then this is the proper glazing, means the gaps between the slab and the glazing or the external cladding, how it should be covered up. It should be properly sealed with the approved sealant, and that means there are FMUL approved sealants are there, which can be utilized to seal these gaps between the slabs and the cladding. Then openable panels requirement is there for means after every 10 meters of gap there should be openable panel of 1 meter by 1 meter, and it should be at the height of 1.2 to 1.5 meters height, and it should be openable from outside, and there is a proper indication shall be provided indicating that it is openable panel, and do not obstruct it. It should not be any material should not be stored just in front of such openings. So as far as the part 6 section 8 is concerned, there are different types of glasses are specified, defined in this section, and normal glass, annual glass, then annual glass with fire resistance, how it should be used, then curtain walls, non-lead load bearing curtain walls, which can be used as an external frame with proper fixing, and typically used for the vertical side of the building. Then facade is the external side. It is a frameless system that is defined. Then the glazing, the act of securing the glass or any other glazing material of the building, opening windows, doors, panels. Then the tempered fire resistance glass. This is important from the fire safety point of view. A single piece of specifically thermal glass, chemically treated glass, tested for the fire resistance for required duration, and having such stress pattern at the piece wherein, and numerous granules. In case of failure, it should form in the small granules, so it should not create any danger to the firefighter or below any activities. Then the tempered glass, which is also stress glass, can be used for the heating and cooling purposes. Then again, there are certain guidelines given, cross-reference of Part 4 of National Building Code. Part 4 is given, wherein the fire rating and other important from the life safety point of view recommendations are given. As far as the necessities are concerned, this code, it is related only to the fire systems, and it will not cover the requirement of vandalism or brokerage or terrorist attack or earthquake or cyclone or any other things. So glaze for the fire resistance, again, this is important from the fire safety point of view, considering to protect the precious human life and property of the building. The external facade or internal facade shall be of fire resistance, so that you can have the sufficient time for carrying out evacuation. And in case of evacuation passages or the common passages, the fully glass shall not be used. That is the requirement. These are again some glasses where you can have the fire resistance glazing, wired glass, annual fire resistance glass, tempered glass, then the instrument laminated glass, double glazing fire resistance glass. So these are some glasses which can be used as a fire retardant glasses. Uh, this is again panels or whatever you are using, it should be tested to that particular fire resistance. It is not only the glass which should be fire resistance, but the assembly attached to it shall have the proper same rating. And it should be certified by either Indian standard or any international standard as per the standard practices. So again, this is very important. In part 4 of National Building Code, fire tower is provided with fire doors and all that. So the route or the common passage leading to this shall not be protected with only glass. That is the requirement. And this fire door shall not be of fire only glass. Uh, if the glass is used in for the visibility, then it should have the proper fitting of fire resistance rating of minimum 2 hours. This is the normal common passage or common lobby for the fire tower. Compartmentation is a very important feature in part 4 National Building Code, wherein different materials are used for achieving this compartmentation. Here, if these are the requirements for the basement for hospitals, normally 750 square meter is a recommendation for compartmentation, but the external sides and the partition walls, if used as a glass or any composite panel, then it should have the minimum 2 hours fire rating. The exposure hazard is another one. If anything goes wrong in any of the building, that heat, radiant heat, can create a problem for the opposite building if the proper distance is not there between the two buildings. Or internally, it can spread as shown in this drawing. So by radiant heat, it can, or through the passage of adjacent compartments, fire can spread. So this is another example from where anything goes wrong in the origin of fire. The heat, radiant heat, can create problem to the external facades of the adjoining building or to the same building on upper floors. This is again an example of radiant heat exposure hazard. So holistically, we have to see not only the cladding, but the type of construction, the height of the building, what type of occupancy will be there in the building, then the availability of automatic detection systems and the automatic sprinkler system, the building compartmentation, then availability of the local fire services to deal with the such type of high-rise buildings with whether they are equipped with aerial ladder platform for carrying out external firefighting and rescue operation, the fire hazard, the load of the fire hazard and the spread, internal spread, and the building evacuation strategies. So if we holistically look at all these aspects, then only we will be in the position to safeguard the precious human life and the property or the building envelope. Then proposed roadmap is, unfortunately, we don't have the awareness amongst the planning authorities and the fire services about this external cladding. Mumbai Fire Brigade, when after occurring few fires in Mumbai, they came up with some guidelines for external facade. We have the test standards as per the British and ASTM, but unfortunately we have limited test labs in India for carrying out such type of tests. These are the some views from the test lab as per the NFPA and BS standards. Some again external facade testing features. So only issue is we have to create awareness amongst the all stakeholders like architect, developers, civil engineers, fire officers for such type of more testing. A lab should be there and tested material only should be used for the external cladding. So only conclusion is, if we go for the fire retardant material at the initial stage as a part of a passive fire protection, then some cost will increase at the initial level, but afterwards it will pay you in tons. So always prevention is better than cure. So considering that, we have to holistically look at this issue. Thank you very much. Over to you, Sharma sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Warwick. I think you have well explained the provisions as per in the NBC for the facade and the cladding, etc. We'll have questions in, because we have got some extra time today. So the questions we'd like to have at the end of the program. We can go ahead with the presentation from Dr. Paul. I think let's have his perspective. Being an architect, he's going to have maybe some different sort of thoughts. Professor Paul is head of the Department of Building Engineering and Management in the School of Planning and Architecture in Delhi. So Dr. Paul, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sharma. So, by the by the introduction, you have restricted my scope to discuss only on architecture, is it?
No, sir. You go ahead with this.
No,
because
no,
especially that's going to be a special feature.
It's quite an interesting thing that what happens is that a supplier supplying fire equipment can call himself as a fire consultant, but unfortunately, if an architect happens to start discussing fire by mistake because of the company like Sharma ji and Chiller Saab, you still keep me out of your community, na? That's very good. But anyway, I'll try to bring in another perspective.
So you are deep into this. We are not that deep.
Not at all. No, I'll bring another perspective to the where Warwick Saab has started. And very interesting thing, Warwick Saab said that after Grenfell, the eyes have opened, but one wonders how many eyes are opening as yet.
Yes, we can see. We can see from your slide.
Okay. No, I'll just try to finish it in about 17, 15, or 18 odd minutes.
No, sir, it's okay, no problem. You go ahead, 20, 25 minutes. No problem.
Then we'll take.
And you put that photograph on your.
I have some photographs, sir. The nice ones that you will like. Okay, now actually, our problem, the perspective that I wanted to bring was that we're looking at the envelope as a whole, and what we were curious to understand is what is the facade and what is the building envelope. And the facade is basically what it's typically said is that it's a physical separator between interior and exterior. IBC, International Building Code, has given a slightly a more elaborate definition, and that's where I tend to develop my understanding of fire safety from the thing. So it says it's a system or assembly of exterior wall components. So it's not just one element, or it's a complete system and an assembly of exterior wall component, including exterior wall covering materials that provide protection of building members. So it's a large bunch of items put together that we call it as a building envelope, including framing, sheathing materials, and it performs a whole lot of purposes. Then it further says that material or assembly of materials applied on exterior side or exterior wall for the purpose of providing weather resisting barrier. So what I understand is that the facade is doing architectural beautification is not the only, it's not the purpose alone. If you look at any of these high-rise tall buildings, what are they? They are basically flat glass kind of some boxes basically. So, but it performs many functions put together, and aesthetics happens to be one of them as well. And of course, fire is one. So what ultimately one is looking at is that's a large assembly of things, and many objectives put together will create a solution, and one of them will be fire safety. So we cannot keep one objective. So it's a multiple objectives that will work together, and the objectives that we find here specific to the envelope is like mentioned, the fire safety, firefighting accessibility if at all, and how, and asset protection, and adjacent building exposure hazard, and the business continuity. Well, whatever it is, the activity that has to continue. Like for example, in today's building, there were almost 130 odd apartment owners. Now they have to be rehabilitated and taken somewhere else. That's what the government is doing now. Now looking at the facade component systems, and this is what I've tried to sketch out. It's a very, very elementary, wherein first of all, we look at from our, so-called architectural understanding, we classify building envelopes in two parts. One is the lightweight and the other one is a heavyweight. Lightweight and heavyweight is actually thermally lightweight. I mean, the one has a larger thermal mass, which is basically its capacity to hold the heat. And the other way, lightweight is the envelope where the weight of physical weight, the mass of the envelope is also required to be used. So we cannot have a masonry envelope on a 40-storied building. It's going to have a lightweight composite construction, and that's where the whole problem will start happening. Is it 10-15 floors, we can have masonry structure, and that gives you a much better advantage as compared to lightweight. So if you're looking at high rise and the tall buildings, one is looking at the lightweight, and that's where the composition and the complications of breach of two layers of assemblies will start happening, and that's what the problem happens. Then we have a framing system, unlike the heavyweight, the masonry kind of envelope, which could be fire rated or non-combustible. It could be both. Now, this kind of an envelope necessarily has to have an external cladding, because the weather and a whole lot of other purposes have to be fulfilled. Weather, infiltration, exfiltration, insulation, they all would have to be fulfilled. And then we have these envelope compositions, they naturally form the cavities whenever the two or three compositions put together. Then we have various membranes. We have to have a impermeable water vapor barrier, permeable breather membrane if we require, if there's a moisture inside, or there is a joint sealants we have to have. We have the system arrangement, something like balconies, corners, they will always be existing. And then we have a whole lot of other, associated accessories kind of things happening, like, cavities, spandrels, or windows, window lintels, the transoms. So one is looking at a composition of all this. And the trouble is that if any one of them fail, the entire assembly will actually fail. Now, the kind of materials that we invariably end up dealing with, it could be from aluminium to the stone ceramic to the combustible coating, photovoltaic sheet mounts, the sandwich composite panel, very common, where we have GFRG happening. We have laminated glass. We have skins now coming. We have double skin envelopes coming, where one is glass, another one is glass, or one is a main envelope, and there is a some kind of a metal skin in front of that. So all these options are happening, and they all invariably end up using one form or the other of the insulation. Now, this is one part of the complication. The other one is that we are never going to have, the envelopes which are always, perfectly vertical. They could be inclined. There'll be some barrier bands in between. There'll be part openable for climate control. Sometimes people want to, operate them for some reason or the other. And you also have these requirements of smoke-related things, which we'll have a touch upon in a moment. And they will invariably have draperies inside, or some kind of louvers inside. So this is the system that is presented to us, which will actually deal with the fire safety. You can't have, we are not going to have a glass alone, and there'll be no draperies inside. There'll be no louvers inside. There'll be something or the other also along with it. coming all the time. So Mr. Warik has already covered that there are adjoining buildings, separation internally, outside, inside. The spread of fire can happen. Now I thought, let me just try to look at, discussing NBC or something and pointing that something is not, people generally don't like. So I thought, let's look at some other codes as well. So if we look at the material composition, etc., there are strict instructions, strict codal requirements for, having, restrictions that up to 10 floor or whatever, or 18 meters height in UK, UAE, what kind of materials are to be used. And in case, in our case, it says that the class 1, 2, 3 low and medium flame spreads can still be allowed, which means that even on an external surface, the low medium flame spread is still permitted. Look, as far as the ban is concerned, we don't have any ban, but nor does Australia has any ban. But up to 10 floors, there's a ban in UAE and UK for certain components. Installation of the cavities is very strongly regulated in Australia, UK, UAE. We also see allocation of responsibility, and this is a very important part. In UAE, the consultant is required to have a responsibility of all assembly, testing, approval, design, installation, and inspection. Now, this is something where in a novice or kind of a lecture bazi kind of a person like me can also become an expert. So it's like you have to have a person who owns the responsibility, and that's very important in a repeatedly vulnerable area. Specialist consultant qualifications are also being talked about. And then we also have this issue of what kind of detailing that is required. Wherein in UAE design specification proposals, they require detailed explanation. Existing buildings, well, in Australia, UAE, UK, there are some possibility, there are some efforts to upgrade them. And in UK, they start looking at it, the government is facilitating them. So that's how basically some people are, and auditing testing, full-scale testing is asked for, not a simple furnace or a part assessment of a component. There are penalties, there are building priorities, where what kind of priorities are given for the envelopes. So as far as this part is concerned, we find that elsewhere codes tend to be little more responsible to tighten the kind of building envelope that is required to be done. In India, it's a very rather simplified kind of a thing, which Mr. Barik has said, that the sprinkler is required with a 2 feet away, 600 mm away from the glass. And if it is not sprinklered building, then this table is to be followed. But my question to my own self is that if this is not, left is not there, the right is to be provided, then then the logic says that the left is equal to the right. So is the provision of the sprinkler 2 feet away is equal to the fire rating here? And if yes, then how? If not, then what? Now, limitation of sprinkler here is also important to be mentioned, because if there are transems of the bands coming inside the glazings, and we are trying to put some kind of water over that, does it give the kind of a uniform layer, etc.? That still is a question. Of course, there are possibilities of a failure. Sprinkler NFPA, because they were so reliable that they removed the requirement of fire-rated spandrels and flame detectors way back. But that's the kind of the consultant, the contractor, the execution, the monitoring, the full-scale testing is so very stringent. And in that also, they are looking at 7% failures. Unfortunately, here, if we put all our efforts in one particular option, then possibly there is some kind of a skepticism. I don't want to touch on the kind of performances, etc. But this is something which I love it, because it says that even when the sprinklers are tested with the sprinkler actuation is tested on a glass or anywhere, the temperatures still tend to rise above 150 and close to 200 degrees Celsius. So I am not very sure whether all glass types will survive, above 150 or 200. My understanding is the toughened glass may survive around that kind of temperature, but nevertheless, that's an issue which somebody we need to look at. Way back, we also come across there was a spandrel requirement where on the right hand side we find that the fire gets deflected with a 1500 spandrel, but now that part is removed, so it tends to close it. Possibly it was a better way, but nevertheless one can still adopt. So some deflection like that is an interesting thing. Now the other thing is about the codal requirements and one interesting thing one finds is that openable vent for the smoke to be provided 10 meters center to center. Now this again, bothers my mind that first of all, at what point of time it is to be used, maybe in terms of stress. So when does the stress happen? What is the situation of stress? At the time of stress, would there be somebody there to open this? And if there is an openable part, and I'm not very sure what kind of water flow in front of that would happen, including there may be some kind of a member, but nevertheless, so there is a provision. But the question here is that if a vent is provided, wouldn't the same vent then create a leapfrog, leaping flames rising up again? Because at that time, the stress has already happened, which means that the more smoke and hot gases are there inside, and they can lead to the flames going up again. So there is still question. Maybe I'm not an expert. I have nothing to do claim as expertise, but there is an issue. Now, Warik Saab and Sharma ji was mentioning about the envelopes. Well, these are all envelopes. Now, in these envelopes, the notion of smoke vent, notion of the spandrel and there are these members in between. On the right hand side, there is the Trump Tower, and I happen to spend considerable amount of time there. If you can see, there are some spandrels inside there were members, and in this kind of a glazing, I always had the draperies and the louvers inside. This is a hotel. So I wonder if there is a sprinkler like that, how well would that actually work? Or in a design like this, it's a very important building in Columbia Hospital Complex, and it looks so nice, but it's perfectly safe. So I'm sure that in these kind of envelopes, there are things other than that make them far, far more reliable than what we tend to look at that. Now, there are a whole lot of these fire incidents all over the place, which one can look at. There is a big list, but my understanding is that most of them had the sprinklers. So again, my question is that to what extent do we really depend on one aspect and consider the entire safety on one aspect? There are these pictures on the internet is full of these pictures on envelopes with fire. This is our great fire of Grenfell. Actually, before 2011, this on the left hand side was the building envelope, perfectly all right, large windows and the columns in between. Then somebody came in, and in between the windows they provide. This was the middle picture shows actually the building which was refurbished, and this is all ACP with that polyethylene sheeting inside, that kind of thing. And finally, that was the end of it. And if you look at it, the way building on the lower bottom right hand corner, the way it looks like, the structural part probably still hasn't really got that kind of the damage, but it just created so much of a heat for that moment, and possibly it kind of created a kind of an oven for people to actually die. So What I understand from left-hand side picture to the right-hand side picture is that when this refurbishment, etc., was given, the criteria of building envelope was overlooked. It's not the ACP. It is just you pick up a material without having to know on what basis you select. On what basis does the construction of the envelope is to be decided? And that is a larger question rather than just dealing with the glass or something. Well, these pictures are all, all over the place. And this is what our morning picture on the left-hand side, what was being discussed here in the morning, the film that we saw. Left-hand side, left corner is the photograph of the building that is left now. Now, what we understand so far at this stage is the fire has started from about 12th floor, and it is the U-shaped kind of a building, the structure which they say, which created a kind of a funnel as the winds in the range of about this 30 kilometers per hour, that kind of a speed was there, and that kind of pushed the flames up. And the 12th floor onwards, everything else was to get it. And so far, it clearly says that there's an exterior material, possibly on the 12th floor, wherever it has started, there was possibly some kind of a balcony, which has quickly resulted into this the flow. And it seems that probably the sprinklers may not have worked. But what we know for sure at this stage is this is a building before the government has taken over a program to remove these vulnerable claddings from the buildings. And this is one of the existing ones where the earlier type of vulnerable ACP type of, the cladding was there. So the point is that everywhere there is a shift from going from that to the better cladding systems. So the U-shaped things, or see, the envelope itself can cause the problem. Similarly, in an earlier place in the same month of October 2010, there was a fire in Korea itself, where 4 people died. Again, similar situation, similar circumstances, similar U-shaped, similar funnel type of effect happening. But in case of this one, the 3 days back, 4 days back, what the building got fire, there was a flying debris, and it caused fire on a supermarket adjoining below, which was also put out by the fire department. So flying debris case is also part of this. Again, now this is a very interesting thing I found, that there is also a choice of a material, which also we need to be a little bit more careful. And I find that it is not the ACP or the polyethylene that is a problem. It is the aluminium itself is a problem, because when aluminium gets the water on top for firefighting, it creates some kind of a dust aerosol, and that aluminium carbide that it creates a huge amount of heat. It's basically the chemical reaction, and that excessive heat, instead of reducing the heat, the fire, it actually aids. And what this particular literature I found, that using water, it says on aluminium, is something like it's a rocket fuel. And then probably aluminum carbide is probably a rocket fuel it's actually a rocket fuel. So what I find is aluminium itself is a problem. So what kind of materials? It's not only not non-combustible, it is non-combustible, but which ones non-combustibles are to be taken? This I'm not going to discuss. I'm not going to discuss this. Okay, now coming to all these limitations of a design, the code, materials, everything will keep happening. But the wise people will always have some innovation done. So the way I'm looking at it is, in your mind, if you have a big vocabulary of how the phenomena happens, where the risks are, what the code does, the code doesn't do, and what you can do, so you can create your own innovative solutions. So this on the right hand side is actually such an easy solution, and you call it as a, whether it's an architect's imagination or a fire safety imagination, that's not important. But the importance is that we can innovate, and innovation is always possible. Just like this, you can have a double skin and you can still prevent your envelope not to get. Of course, these are all hypothetical processes, and we find many of these things. This picture was shown by Mr. Warwick also, but what here I would like to point out, on the right hand side, there is an insulation, but this insulation is inside. Invariably, insulation in building envelopes will be on an outer side, and that's where that creates a problem for heating outside, because it's for the sustainability, maintaining U values less than 2 or whatever it is required to be followed. I can leave this as well. You know, here basically I'm trying to say how the, you know, the fire will always tend to go towards the glass, and then there'll be, you know, a whole lot of difficulties with cavities, etc. I can leave this as well. I can move to the, okay, now let me come to the last one. Here we get is, we need to have what is the performance objective in the envelope. What is it that I'm not interested in the in looking for a glass and putting a you know, opening, or putting a you know, sprinkler, or doing this, that, and the other. I'm interested in the total performance, where everything put together gives me a safety for fire, fire resistance, incombustibility, no flame, spreading, etc. So what is that criteria? So I'm trying to look at that kind of a criteria. The other thing which, out of all this understanding which I have been able to get, is the last thing that anybody can look at is open an envelope and allow the flames or smoke to go out. I have scouted enough number of literatures, but everywhere the only condition that I have found for sure very clearly is that once the envelope is allowed to break, allowed to open, then it is free for all. So opening, allowing, so that's the performance requirement. So what I'm looking at is like 1, 2, 3, 4. If we can capture all the performance requirements and state that that is the objective of my design, etc., including the fire, that will serve better. And unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be existing right now in our own domain, in and around. So if I can create a defined performance objective of envelope and facade, leave the general for the sustainability and other people to decide, and only for the fire safety, I think that goes for a long way. I'm sure I've tried to discuss a lot of these points, but if there is any question, I can try to answer. But that's what basically I wanted to share. No answers, but basically to throw open the gamut of fire safety risks that exist. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. I think you are really gone deep into that. We try to be firefighters, try to be on the surface where the fire is burning, but you are really gone into each panel, interiors, and the way things are going, and probably what needs to be looked into. Now we got Sandeep Goyal also. I think he has got few slides to be shared. Let's have that perspective. He's the person who is providing the facilities and is a consultant. So he goes deep into the things while executing. You get to know really where the problems are there and what is the more difficult situation for him. So let's hear his view also. Mr. Sandeep.
Thank you, Sharma Sahab. I am supposedly to be the consultant, which I feel still I do not deserve that kind of an acronym to my name, because there is so much which I keep learning from my other colleagues. But we have been given responsibilities to ask for advice. We try to work with deep passion and sincerity. Yes, we do realize that the subject is so wide, it requires a more holistic understanding. I feel very small in my understanding of the subject when I speak to senior colleagues like yourself, Mr. Warwick, Dr. Paul, or Chiller sir. I really feel small about the knowledge which or the knowing which I possess about it. But having said that, from here, I would like to just share some inputs about my understanding on this piece. Buildings are very, very iconic, and this is the Absolute Tower in Canada. I was, it was one of the most mesmerizing projects which I have witnessed in, in terms of the style, the ambience, the kind of iconic attribute it has. Another project, we as the building goes taller and complex, this is one of the projects, which again is being done by an Indian company, by Indian consultants abroad. And, this is again an icon of excellence wherein two towers are being erected. It has got a swimming pool in the middle with also a restaurant below it. So it's a pride for the country for something like this for us to do. An Indian company, an Indian contractor, an Indian consultant making this, large iconic project. The real picture has been, and as we have heard for the senior colleagues, it's like the 5 blind men and the elephant kind of a scenario. Everybody is working in their own silos. We think we have done our job well, but I think we are still not, got our, meaningful working together if we do not understand the challenges together and try to solve them. My understanding on this is being broken into 3 parts. Very quickly, I like to take it up. Building facade, number 1 item, integrity. How much integrity is important with respect to controlling the spread of fire? Access, do you really need an access from the outside of the tower to come inside the building? Egress, do I need to take out the project people from the facade for purpose of evacuation? So 3 basic things which keep on coming back to us to understand what is it about. If you look at integrity, yes, of course, we have talked about the integrity aspects, the issues which, this picture, which is very, very used by many colleagues in their talks, and this, of course, something very well detailed by Warik Saab, the integrity of the slab and the glass. But I want to share with you one of the, findings from the various literature I have come across. It says IBC and NFPA 5000 do not require fire resistance rating spandrels or flame deflectors at the building facade in fully sprinkled building. And it also says very little is currently known about the fire performance of the wide variety of IGUs that are possible. What do we know about glass performance is limited to standard single glazed assemblies. So moment you start combining insulating glass units, which we require more or less for today's green buildings, their performances are very, 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 very little known, because you can only talk about a single facade glass, but when it comes to multiple, you have your own challenges to look about. So as far as facade integrity is concerned, and what Dr. Paul has explained in very good detail about Grenfell, what exactly happened was that the consultant, let me say, landed up choosing the wrong material which for the facade, which was not meant for such kind of a high-rise building. As we saw the comparisons done by Dr. Paul, it very clearly highlights what kind of suitability is accepted depending upon the height of the building. Now here is when it comes to signing off the technical submittal, the consultant probably made a mistake of taking the L1, the low coat, without realizing that the insulation material, the cladding material which he is selecting is not meant for a project which is 23 floors. So that is where the challenge starts. So you selected the wrong material, actually compromising the safety of a building which was actually safe in many ways. One of the other things was that the building had also partial sprinklers, non-operational sprinklers. If you really look at the NBC, while it talks about the fire resistance rating, as was described by Mr. Warik as well, very surprisingly, you will see NFPA 5000 says the fire resistance rating for exterior non-bearing wall is 0. The difference over here lies is that you are really not looking at fire resistance rating of external material, but you are looking non-combustibility of those materials. Rating is the endurance of a material to sustain the fire when applied on one side of it. And combustibility is that the material will not combustion if the fire is applied for. So although in our system, we are talking about rating systems, actually, if you really see, non-combustibility is the most important aspect to look at rather than really looking at the rating part of it. The other thing we are also talking about, whether it is glass which is used in facade, that means my home, your home, which has got windows where we use glass, or we are talking about a facade glass building. Now these two are two different things. You are talking about glasses in facade, which are less vulnerable for me, less challenging for me, or you're talking about a building which is completely curtain wall. That means it's a glass facade. So having said that, the code actually works around, and I don't need to really repeat this again. It talks about the various mechanisms. The only aspect which is important over here being mentioned, if the building is sprinkled, you do not have the challenges of the outbreak of fire to the external of the building. And that's where, if you are more careful about locating your sprinklers at the right location to cover the glasses, you have met your objective of cooling the glass, and you are not really looking at the rating to be provided, is what my understanding is. So if you really look at the aspect of it, if you are providing sprinkler protection and you have got a passive fire protection mechanism, then with these two aspects, you do not really require a fire rating of the external facade. I'll move quickly. External access, so we have completed one chapter, integrity. There is another example over here where I see in Mumbai, they have provided fire access panels. So are these fire access panels meant for people from outside to enter into the building? Is this what we are wanting? I don't really think so. Warik Saab can educate us better, being an operational firefighter, that do you really need to access the building from outside, break the panel and get inside? I don't really think that is the objective of an access from outside. Now, with the fire tower being provided, I don't see we are requiring these mechanisms to enter from outside the building. So even if you really look at the egress, so egress is not required. You need operable panel. If you see on the right hand side, this is an NFPA FAQ. It tells you that I need to have an operable panel for tenability. Nobody is going to go and open the panels for you, but in case you are trapped inside the building, the operable panel helps you for purpose of your tenability in the space you are stuck. So while the National Building Code also talked about smoke venting facilities in windowless buildings in 2005, with the 2016 version, the windows, the buildings are no more windowless. There are windows, and then if you provide operable panels, they provide you tenability. So once these tenabilities are achieved, you really do not need to have the egress component for the purpose of jumping out of the building for purpose of safety. Risk profile, we have got different types of risk which are there as per British standards, various types of occupancies, how people would be reacting to it. And if you really look at smoke mitigation is a major challenge for buildings which are like hotels, where people have sleeping accommodation. If you really look at this calculations, the pre-occupied time for a hotel is 20 minutes versus an office is 1 minute. So really speaking, the National Building Code presently identifies hotels, hospitals, auditoriums, and basements for smoke mitigation requirements. It really is not saying the requirements for provided for offices. So from that aspects, if you have the right type of window operability for tenability requirements, and you have the smoke mitigation provided for auditoriums, for hotels, and for hospitals, you are being taken care of, not to control the spread of the smoke into the other areas. So primarily, this is my feedback, sir. If you really look at, we do not need the accessibility from outside. We do not need to evacuate the people from outside. You do not really need very large smoke mitigation system for very big halls, primarily for offices and other spaces. But sleeping accommodations are very much requiring smoke mitigation, which can be engineered through the various mechanisms. So really speaking, the facade is not requiring, to my understanding, and I can be corrected, fire resistance rating. It requires more towards the non-combustibility of materials which are being provided in facade. So I will stop here, Sharma sir, and thank you for this opportunity. We can please interact as you kindly feel to speak on this subject.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Goel. I think we have got today about 20-25 minutes for the question answer session. Just to now, I'm a Mr. Warik is also an operational person. I too have been in this operational area. So my perspective slightly, because whatever has been said so far, taking cue from whatever Mr. Sandeep has said, I tend to agree to that extent that when we say the facade buildings or windowless buildings, we have created some openable windows. I'm not sure whether it is really possible to use them for escaping people from there through fire brigade, because then we do have buildings which are beyond the reach of fire brigade, maybe more than say, we have got only 70 meters or so in most of the cities, but one few cities have got a 90-meter ladders. But beyond that, what do we do? So we do have buildings up to 200 meters. So now talking about this type of, I mean, action, that somebody can come to that place and try to maybe saved by fire brigade, appears to be really not possible. Because going back to the stage will be very difficult for him if he's trying to see that somebody will come and save him from there. Number two was that mentioned by Mr. Sandeep, is that smoke mitigation. I think yes, this is a very much important area when life is involved and probably rescue of the people is involved. And in fact, I feel that way, that if you are able to take care of the smoke management and smoke venting, then in a way you are taking care of the spread of fire as well, because the hot gases and smoke from the passages and the areas of access, if that is managed, then fire brigade can reach fast. They can access to the fire and they can take care of the things. So that is my feeling, that sort of things, it's there for the people where the people are living or sleeping accommodation. But I feel that if that thing is having the, I mean, it is made necessary for other buildings occupancies as well, this is certainly going to help in reducing the fire spread, because hot gases are ventilated from that area itself or within that area. So that's my opinion. Another one was we have seen the different buildings. Dr. Paul has shown many buildings, I mean, or Mr. Sandeep also has shown it. Well, to a fire officer, they are like a nightmare. If something goes wrong, I mean, you don't know what is where and which floor you are and what is the sort of a design of that particular floor. So it will be, normally we tend to, for a fireman, the best thing is you have got a simple design so that you know that how far you have to go in a particular floor. If every floor is having a different sort of floor plate, then we had it in case of smoke and fire, we end up in, in a very huge, difficult situation. So that is there. And entry for the fire brigade from the facade openings, I don't think it is really possible because of the height is the one constraint. Now, another factor which I feel is going to come in operation is that wind direction. I mean, in the last, yesterday's fire, we have seen that wind direction played, design of the building, U-shape or V-shaped building, that has caused some problem, spread of fire to one particular direction on a particular face. This is going to happen. Now, if there is a fire on a building facade and probably then air is pushing that smoke inside, then it could be a different situation. But if it is on the other side, pushing it along the facade, you may have a sort of a horizontal increase also possible. So there are different situations will come. But one thing I'm sure, as Mr. Sandeep has mentioned, if the building is sprinklered, I don't think the sprinklered building is going to have this sort of leapfrog problems and facade, these things going up, because once the water starts spraying by the sprinkler, we understand it is going to be only on the seat of fire. That means the temperature is going to be brought down. So the heat from the fire is going to be reduced. And when we sprinkler is operating, there's a lot of steam is going to be generated along with that. So steam mixed with smoke is going to have a different effect, not the normal smoke. So that is the thing probably what Mr. Sandeep has said. Then Dr. Paul has mentioned again so many pictures. I think that's perfectly right. Design of the building is one area. I mean, we have to be really careful, not for the beauty, but we have to look for the this thing. He's mentioned about the vulnerability of the claddings. Yes, that is one big issue. And then initially we had a presentation from Mr. Warwick. Well, he has gone into the codes things, and he's mentioned about building, if not sprinklered, then we can have some other thing. And if it's sprinklered, then we have sprinkler near the glass facade so that it can keep it cool. Well, I agree with this. In fact, sprinkler is one particular thing which, as a fire officer, operational person, I feel like it doesn't cost that much if it is provided in each and every building, irrespective of the height. I mean, we tend to economize on this that if the height is beyond this only, then we should have, or area beyond this we should have. Now you see, you talk to a fire officer who has to go and fight fires. When he goes and enters a building, the first thing is he has to encounter the smoke. Whatever fires we have seen in the last, I mean, Grenfell Tower and yesterday and all that, probably the things inside were not that very difficult because fire was on the external facade. Once people came out of their rooms or their place into the common areas, they could escape out. Otherwise, so this what it says here, the thing was different. So fire was spreading onto the facade, which was looking to a very big fire to all of us, but internally it was much safer because fire was not inside the building. So if that was so, then probably if things would have gone to the stairs and corridors and other things, things would have been slightly different. We could see in the V-shaped building, center part on one other side was not affected, probably because of compartmentation and other things which have been taken care into that. So this is what Mr. Warik has also enforced on the compartmentation requirements and sealants and other things. Well, everything is very much required. We can't escape anything out of it. But on my opinion as a fire officer is that sprinkler building, in any case, they are going to be much, much safer. We need not enter each and every place to even throw water onto the seat of fire exactly. And otherwise the things become very big if we are not able to access the exact seat of fire, and difficulty because of smoke and heat, it adds to the problem. So it's a complex thing. I think we have got some time now today, about 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes. We can have some questions if they are there, or anybody out of the speakers, they may have some, Mr. Maybe Sandeep or Dr. Saab or Warik. Within us, we can have, in case if some questions are there, we can have those also. Please.
Sir, I would request Warik Saab to educate us that you see the opportunity for requiring the egress from outside, evacuating people from the facade of the building. Is it a real requirement which consultants, architects should really plan, or now the fire tower is serving the requirement of officer safety to reach the floor which is on fire? I think we really need to, educate and understand from operational fire officers like Warik Saab and yourself, Sharma sir, that do you really need that egress accessibility for occupants to be brought out, or the fire tower is very meaningful in these circumstances?
Mr. Warik, you can take please.
Yeah, already Sharma sir has explained nicely about the limitations of external ladders. We have maximum 90 meters ladder which can go, and now Mumbai has got 300 meters buildings also. So it has got a limitation. Also, you don't know the location of fire and the wind velocity. So the pitching of such type of ladders very close to the burning building is very difficult. Dr. Paul has also highlighted the issue of burning debris coming out of such buildings. So it is also it can pose life threat to the firefighters which are trying to reach to that particular building. So it is not advisable for external firefighting. So you have to see that the building should be properly built with the type of construction, as I have already said in my presentation. Holistically, you have to look the seismic loads, then wind loads, everything, that kind of scenarios you have to consider and see that the building is properly constructed out of different materials. Then fire prevention protection arrangement, compartmentation, passive fire protection. So holistically, everything is put together, then only you can have the safe building envelope. And fire tower, definitely the way pressurization is provided, the 2 hours fire rating. So for evacuation purposes also, and to reach the firefighters on upper floors also, they can utilize the lift, the place inside the fire tower, and they can reach on upper floors above 30 floor, 40 floor, 40, 60 floors. So such kind of a mechanism is really will help the firefighters to reach on the upper floor to deal with any fire situation or to carry out safe evacuation. So that is my take.
Okay, I think Mr. Warik has taken well this thing. I'll tell you one more thing is there. We had a fire in one of the hotels in Delhi long back, and we had the toughened glass all around the building, and fire brigade people could not break the glass of the window where the fire was there, some smoke was coming. So toughened glass is not really easy to break in case something goes wrong. That was one issue. But I don't think that is required by fire brigade, because see, we have to fight fires from within the building. What we see from outside, this gives a very good, beautiful sort of a picturesque situation, that the tall ladders fighting fire and people standing there and doing the job. How much time does it take to, after the fire brigade is called, to bring it to the site, pitch the ladder on the right place, and you just extend the ladder to the right window? I mean, so many ifs and buts are there. Well, it takes about 7 to 8 minutes or so, 90 meters or 100 meters ladder, what they're talking about. I think 7 to 10 minutes it takes even to pitch the ladder. You find the proper place. Time of calling that, time of traveling distance from the fire station to the building, and finding the space around the building to pitch the ladder, and doing that, if it goes around 12 or 15 minutes, if everybody is so efficient, do we think 10 or 15 minutes people are going to be waiting on the window? I mean, can they just wait that much? We have seen all the fires in the past. It takes few minutes, hardly 5-10 minutes. The people are, if some smoke is there, then they're, taken over by the smoke, and they can't really do anything. They can't come to the window. They are already fainted or unconscious. So now in these situations, see, the external means of firefighting, external means of this using the ladders, it is limited to the buildings which are already existing. They don't have built-in facilities. They don't have been constructed in that manner. And probably there, if we are able to reach within that, maybe 10 floors or so, 30 meter, 40, 50 meter, that's, I think we can make use of these. But again, limitations are still there. We cannot really say that if you have got the ladders and they are going to save the people, they are going to carry out the firefighting. It is only if we are having built-in facilities to get into the building, they are safe means available to us, staircases and corridors. Again, they have to be smoke-free, fully compartmented, and we are talking about this only. If we are able to enforce these things, probably I think that is the only solution. Now, last, I'll give you one example on this is, we have a look at the ship, or we have a ship on the maybe submarine. Well, there what we do, everything has to be built in only. They can't call fire brigade, they can do anything. So everybody has to be aware of that, what is available, and how to make use of the things which are available. And so internally only things have to be provided. They have to be kept in good working condition. Everybody must be aware of it, and everything has to be functional all the time. I think that was from me. Any questions? Dr. Paul, you may have to say something, or any questions are there? Shilo sir?
No, we don't. We were asking people to put any question they feel. But only in this webinar, there's no question. Otherwise, there's a lot of questions on them.
No problem. Dr.
There
Paul.
are some questions.
Okay, you can see that if it is there.
Dr. Sontakke has asked one question regarding appropriate method for fire safety arrangement of facade, safety of building. So fire safety, as already Dr. Paul has mentioned, so it is not, it is means there are different materials used in the external cladding. So as a composite panel, means there are aluminum fixtures, rubber fixtures. So there should be proper test method for testing entire unit as a whole, so that it should have that much fire rating. So that type of test labs are available in India and abroad. So that can certify such things, and such type of panels can be used as a cladding. Second question is, what shall be the opening required? So opening required after every 10 meters of the distance, openable panel should be provided. That is the requirement, codal requirement. And if it is a common passage, then also the opening shall be provided in the common passage in the cladding.
One thing in this, Mr. Warwick, it's okay. I think this, because earlier we were talking about that what is the opening, how we take out. So some provision has been created just probably by giving a thought, we should have some openings. But who is going to operate these openings? I think Dr. Paul has mentioned that. I mean, who is going to open? We have mentioned somewhere possible to open from externally. Really, fire brigade is really approaching there. Is it really possible again? So this sort of requirement is created out of maybe some suggestion. Something has come because we don't have anything. Create something. But if we cannot keep them open all the times, maybe you say the office building, you can't keep them open because it's air-conditioned building. So you keep them closed. So if there is a fire, everybody goes out. So there's nobody to open them manually. So they are not provided with any automatic system of opening, maybe automatic latches or maybe some solenoid switches, something. Nothing is there. So then,
Sir, can I add, sir?
Please, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
See, the question is what Sandeep is saying, that if you are stuck in the room and then you can open for the tenability.
Yeah.
I can agree to that.
Yes.
But I think the word used is a smoke. Okay, so that creates a confusion that in a smoke situation, if there is a distress, which means that you are already in that situation, you are in trouble that you don't need to bother, you know. But if it is for survivability, then it has to be for tenability. Now, my question is that fair enough, the intent is very good, but how to exercise intent at the right time? And don't leave that window open and run away. And after that, this becomes a problem for open go everywhere.
Yes, yes.
I think these are the purpose and articulation of what objective it is serving. That can help us. So my argument in my whole presentation was actually let all these issues be known to the people. What works where, what doesn't work, and how it should work. Then when you are finalizing the envelope, take the best logical answer and then overlay see how best you can meet the codal requirement also. Okay, but not knowing the fundamentals of envelope and putting the code on that, which means that envelope will be used in a wrong way, code will be breached. So that is what my intent was, that you create with the see what I'll give you a very simple example. You see, we learn ABCD, and we construct some words.
Yeah.
And what a poet does, he has all these words in his memory. Then he creates a nice poetry out of that. So if all these correct words are in your mind, then you create the poetry, it will look good. But if you solely depend on what is written in the code or what is not written in the code, you will fall into a trap, because everything cannot be stated.
Yes. You
see, you are an educated person going drunk on the main highway. There cannot be a code, So, and a drunk can also go to the court and make a mistake, a road and make a mistake. But the police will never make a rule that if you are drunk, then you don't go. So what I'm trying to say is, don't wait for the codes and everything to get sorted out. You identify your own principles. Look at the code, comply with, because codes can only give a general kind of answer to everything. But beyond that, there's a good sense. And I can, from my architecture background, I can tell you, the envelope is not designed only for fire. There are 20 other parameters for which you design for the good life, for the good sustainability, good comfort conditions. So if you understand everything, you can work together. And when you work together, the code requirement can also come. So please let us open our mind to understand everything about the envelope, facade, and let's find our own innovative answers rather than क्या मैं कर सकता है, क्या मैं नहीं करेगा. So like that. And this fire safety in this country is also growing, sir. It is only 20 years old, my understanding.
Yeah.
So in 20 years old, we have made good strides. South Korea, in the one statement I was reading by the Prime Minister, and he said that we are still having a lot of problems with the fire safety codes. You know, in April, they had a building, 34 people died in another province on a building, and again, the envelope is completely gutted. So, that way, we are not that far behind, but we have to make an effort to put everything together.
Sure. Sir.
And like, look at this beautiful thing, you know, Chiller
Yeah.
Saab is a fireman. Warik Saab is firefighting person. Sandeep Goel is a consultant. I am a completely different architect. So if we all sit together and understand everybody's language and find a solution, it'll be a beautiful solution.
Yes,
But,
sir, certainly.
but that,
So,
that
right.
is required, sir.
So last thing, because the time is also there, I think it's coming to end of it. 5 minutes we can give to them. Maybe some questions are there. I'd like to say, sir, one more thing, which is I consider very, very important is we have seen the buildings which are, when you go to Gurgaon and cross Gurgaon on the right hand side, a huge building is there. I think it's about maybe 150 or 200 meters long. And it's a 7 or 8 stories building and about maybe 30, 40 meters wide. A huge glass facade. Now, what is the smoke management, I mean, done over there? Whether we say 12 air changes or whatever is required in case of fire, or then what we do that, I mean, the way we do it, are we doing that smoke management for the whole of the floor, or we are doing partly on the zone wise, how the zoning is to be done, how the ducting is to be designed, then we come to all those things. Now, this is one area which I find that the architects, your HVAC people, the engineers, electrical people and all that, smoke management, fire people also, they have to understand the requirement of a fire officer, because how to keep that area free of smoke, or at least so that they can enter and take care of the things inside the building. And people inside can come out of the building without help of fire service if these things are taken care of. So the one area I wanted to just in the end of it, I want to mention. Any more questions, Warik Sahab, or we hand over to Mr. Chiller?
There's one, I think somebody is asking or telling that the environment in India, we cannot have a good building with facade, glass facade. This is somebody from Galaxy 6 has put it this: the Indian environment glass facade building is not advisable.
No, thing is,
Think
Chiller
it
Sahab,
is not suitable for.
no, what it
Think
says
it is
is,
not suitable. Yeah.
no, abhi
So
Paul Sahab ne,
it is a question from some.
No, I think
Dr. Paul has already mentioned. Yeah, please.
the
It is
question
not
is very
advisable.
simple.
I think it is not suitable for.
Dr. Paul will take care of that.
See, you have to use judicious use of glass, judicious use of everything. What happens is that you are, for the sake of using material, if you are using, then it is a crime. But you have to see in the design, in the aesthetics, in fire safety, sustainability, energy, put all these things together, and whatever is necessary. If you put a glass and there is nothing to see outside, why on earth you should have glass? It's a criminal. So some people, they have this illogical way of arriving at solution. I think that is wrong. But if there is a reason, there's a good view outside. Not much of a it's an orientation which allows you to have a large glass. We must use it, but it should be judicious. So there should be some way to arrive at what is right. What is right on the west face is not right on the north face.
Yes,
What is
yes.
right on the north face is not right on the south face.
बिल्कुल.
To be little-
नहीं, Paul Sahab, बिल्कुल ठीक है. See, when we talk, when we see from the point of view, the use saving energy, using the normal light, natural light is one of the best thing. We save a lot of energy on that. But we end, maybe the environment may be another thing, because we are in the cold countries, then different requirements are there. In the hot countries, enter different requirements. In Delhi, we got both the requirements, very cold and very hot also. So the requirements are different. You're right. I mean, our requirements will be different, but beauty is also there, and they save a lot, because if you have a 9-inch wall and then you save 9-inch or maybe a feet of space for such a long building, then that much area probably you save, you got saleable extra area to the public. So there's something very, the other side of it, you're earning something out of it. There's one way of having these buildings probably. So this is also there. I think, yes, Mr. Chiller Sahab, you can please. It's already 1:30.
So I think today, which we discussed, was one of the important subject. Our idea is to create a bank of intelligent people. We are doing only for 1 hour, and now the government has allowed to go for some conference and exhibition in near future. We will definitely take these people to a bigger conference and to important subject. So with this, I can only say, I'm thankful to all the speakers. They have taken the subject very nicely. People are very happy. I can see from the chat box that everybody was happy, and the subject was taken very well off by all. And now, before depart, I can just say I'm really thankful to the speakers, to the audience, and will be available to you after another 14 days, say about after 15 days. We'll be taking up the subject that will be very important, and we will give you the information, say about 10 days earlier to the webinar. I said thank you very much to everyone, especially the speakers, and I'm very thankful to my R.C. Sharma Sahab. Yes, he is taking care of all the speakers and everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chiller Sahab. Thank you very much. Everybody.
Thank you, Chiller Sahab.
Bye. See you
Thank
next
you,
time.
sir. Thank you very much, sir. All the best. Thank you very much, sir.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All the best. All
Thank
the
you.
best.